And now I will talk about the residency here at Kumu, but I will try to do it as shortly as possible because our wonderful youth group already talked about it a bit. Slide. So, first of all, before we selected the artist, we wanted to set the scene here at the museum, what we want to actually achieve with this artist residency here in Kumu, and of course. First and foremost, we wanted to encourage youth involvement in museums and also to use museums' physical space in different ways, but also to expand digitally in a way. And the big question for us here was, what is this museum actually for young people? And before reaching this particular youth and young adults group, we also thought about incorporating the residency more also locally in initiatives. When thinking of Lasnamäe area just next to Kumu, we were also thinking of Russian-speaking minority and of course non-visitors and how to get closer to local artists as well. And when getting to the step two to choose the artist, we chose our artist from Italy, Luigi Coppola, and we were especially interested in working with him because of his background also in theater, and that was based on conceptual language and the construction of perceptive environments, and also because he's really active in socially engaged art. Here are a couple of photos of his projects. You can find more information about it on his blog. And well, Kumu Youth Club already did a spectacular job introducing themselves. And just to point out, though, that not all the members of the youth club were present at the residency, as the schedule was rather difficult and time-consuming for them. So when the artist arrived finally, then we started to set the framework for the residency, and the research and meetings that took place here in Estonia, here in Tallinn, they included visits to different museums, also getting to know the collection of Estonian Art Museum, and other visits to meet art workers here in Estonia. And also during the residency, we were joined by Anna Škego from Zagreb Museum and Leszek Karzewski from Muzeum Sztuki Łódź. And before meeting the youngsters, Luigi had a wonderful chance to go on a trip to Lasnamäe to discover the surroundings of Kumu and dig into the recent past of this country and its controversies. Luigi was also interested in rituals located around certain spaces. For example, he became really interested in the song festival grounds that you can see down left. And during his research, he came across Ege Kulbok-Latik's research about Estonian community houses. And with this particular photo here, he started to elaborate on this photo and on this research. And Estonian community houses were built in towns and the countryside by local people who joined cultural and other societies since the second half of the 19th century. These houses became the pillars of the emerging Estonian civil society and public sphere by offering space for new cultural practices of Estonians, such as singing in many voiced choirs, acting in theater plays, establishing local libraries, organizing lectures, etc. And also hosting public festivals of local communities. And we here at the museum, we had many dilemmas about the embodied symbolic presentation of the past, but then again, through the dialogue with the past, new generations can get inspiration and education for the future. Through the conversations with Luigi, Luigi inspired the youngsters to collectively reimagine and reinvent public spaces as the heart of every community. He stressed that it was important to strengthen the connection between people and places they share. Some photos from the residency, so that they discussed how they interpret different concepts like solidarity, vision of the future, resistance, harmony, or conflict. And from this photo that I showed you before, Luigi also had the idea that for the final performance that was photographed, youngsters should also make some outfits. And the unifying symbol chosen for the project was the white outfit. Simple sheets of cloth became personal manifestos, expressions of desire and symbolic identifying personal proposals. And for example, just a comment from one of the youngsters in the project, our task was to make an original outfit that reflects our personality, but also goes in harmony with Luigi's idea. We were each given a large piece of white fabric. Luigi chose the color because it represents purity and freedom. It was entirely up to us how to make these costumes. The only requirement was that it had to show our attitude. Every outfit was a unique piece, but made from the same material. While sewing and cutting, we hold many discussions on topics such as, does the way you dress define you? If yes, then how? What does your clothing represent? And what kind of message you give through your looks? It was eye-opening to hear so many different opinions. And when they used public space in the museum, the courtyard, for their choreography, for the performance that was later photographed, they Luigi phrase for this was also like, your freedom is in danger, participate. So the youngsters used their own bodies to push apart the thickest walls and give a helping hand to each other to overcome the hardest trials and climb over the tallest walls to reach freedom. There was also this dialogue with the past and seeking for freedom in the past and what means freedom for youngsters nowadays, and how they express it while interacting with space and using their own bodies. And the last step then was the photo shoot. And there are some words about, from Gert's diary, who presented before as well, that everyone had to have power in every picture, which means that everyone had to be unique. We went on the stage one by one and took poses which we thought would work best. It was completely improvised. Luigi gave us different tasks to do. For example, one of the pictures, we had to make it appear as we were destroying the place. But while completing these tasks, we never forgot the idea of having and feeling the power, because it's power that makes us noticeable and brings us out from the rest of us. And also the final part was reflecting on what they did here, and basically their reflections you can see on their Weebly blog, Kumu as Toolbox. And for this, we did small mind maps discussing the most important themes of the residency. And I guess the aim of this activity was to listen, stimulate, and translate in a symbolic and artistic way the instances, proposals, and potential resulting from the commitment of all participants, transforming them into a collective experience.